trying to kill myself! I'm going to kill myself! What the fuck? It worked! One moment. I hate my life. The fuck? No, it's not over. It's not over. I still have a game to code, okay? I still have a game to code. Is it a big game? No. Is it 100% from the beginning? Also, no. I have a prototype that I want to show. It's hot here. Very weird. Like, I literally didn't change a thing in the code. I guess YouTube doesn't like Expedition 33. Apparently. Well, that's one less thing to fix. Let's jump for me at least. Let me get the monitor here. There we go. Let's see. I even had the code open here. I guess we won't need it now. Oh yeah, let me get the game code. I didn't have it ready because I didn't think I'd be using it so soon. What I intend to do is very weird. One day when I was at work, I had a dream. There's like this room with a lot of sandbags that are surprisingly really good to sleep in. I've slept better on them sometimes in my own bed. Oh, it partitioned the code for some reason. And then I had a dream where I played a game where I had to resource men. It's because I saw a video from Wendy Goon before taking a nap at work, where he explained about the siege that happened to this medieval city during the 30 Years' War, I think. Yeah, I think it was the beginning of the 30 Years' War, and it's all about the siege and the stuff that happened inside of the city and whatever. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that I could make a game, like the game was, there was a city and there were people sieging it, and the game was all about you as like the governor of the city needing to balance your resources, buildings and whatever to maintain and sustain the city until like either troops, like some win condition were met, or the attacking forces simply got too bored or simply died out trying to get the city, you know? And I thought it was a nice idea. Is this the code? No, it's not this one. It's also not this one. Where is it? I swear they sent it here. Google API, it's not this one. Here. It's in a file. Siege.html. Let me show here. This here is the game. It's the prototype that I asked ChatGPT to make for me. It's very simple, it's extremely buggy, and it makes no sense. I had to adjust some stuff, but basically the idea, I think it was the idea that ChatGPT had, is that you'd have like 3 houses, and the houses decided how the population would grow. And the wall had like 3 layers, but it does not care for the other layers. It just has 100 health as of yet. That's the idea. You have food, you have soldiers, and you have population. Population can farm to make food. Soldiers protect the walls. The walls take damage from the siege every single day, and the houses also take damage from the siege. For example, siege weaponry and whatever. And therefore, it made me use 4 buttons and a prompt, like a console that spoke to you what happened. Like if it's tell them to produce food, I lost 1 people due to insufficient housing because the house took damage. The walls took 5 damage, consumed 10 food, and I produced 50 food. And then I can repair the house. I took 5 damage from the siege, but I then can protect the wall, repair the wall, whatever. And so your idea is juggling between these resources. One thing that I don't want is to divide the soldiers. Actually not. Maybe the soldier idea is pretty good. And I can like every day decide the distribution between one and the other. Somewhat like this game over here. In this game, let me show it real quick. Getting sidetracked very fast award. You basically look. Let me pause. You have the population here. You have the population here, and the workers. The workers generate gold. Your gold. And you have a max population that grows exponentially as much population you have. The idea would be something along these lines, you know. You have a slide here where you decide who are going to be soldiers and who are going to be workers, and the workers will produce food, maybe money as well. There could be a mechanic, because, for example, it's because there is like a lot of nuance when you're talking about sieges, because a siege can last 10 days and can last 5 years, 10 years. I think Constantinople was like siege for how long? How long was Constantinople sieged? 55 days. I thought it was for longer, but I believe it was like a series of sieges, wasn't it? Well, it's along those lines. And if I'm not mistaken, the city kept doing trade and whatever, and it existed for a long time, even though it was under almost constant attack. So that's the idea. You're going to try managing your resources, maybe money, soldiers, population, and whatever. I intend it to have graphics, if possible. And I intend to use as much what's the name? JavaScript as possible. Why? Because I need to learn JavaScript better. Would be useful. But that's the idea. If you, for example, you produce too much food, my walls are dying, my soldiers are dying, and eventually when the wall dies, I die, and it says to me how long I lasted. I could make a way, like difficulty, like, oh, you have to survive, like easy. I have to survive until 50 days or 20 days or something like that. Also, one thing that I thought of doing was reenacting certain historical sieges, like, oh, you're going to be the siege of X city that happened in 16 or something, and then have different buffs and whatever. It would be nice to have like different buffs and or debuffs depending on the day. Like, oh, it's raining, produce more food, but the combat's going to be more weird. Although I think if it rained, would be in favor of those who are protecting. So yeah, that would happen as well. it would change for if the city had a port, for example. If it had a port and the port wasn't sieged, for some reason the guys only sieged the city, the land part, you could do trade and exchange stuff, buy stuff, and that idea, you know, that's the concept at least that it came up with. So yeah, let me see what we can do. It would be nice. No, wrong thing. There we go. Okay. We have food, walls, repair. Let me open. Visual Studio. We got it right here. So yeah, these are the constants. Soldiers, wealth, health, max health, and food per person. Each person consumes 1 food. The repair, I had to twinkle a bit because the food was producing a bit too little food, and it was basically impossible to manage things. I think this decay isn't used anywhere. It is used, but I think I'll remove it. Because I mean, maybe if the city's under siege, people are attacking it, throwing like not bombs, but like arrows and maybe using cannons even. So maybe some damage to this inward city. Maybe, I don't know, a rogue soldier got into it and they're denied and killed someone, or attacked, or set up building on fire. I think that could be the under this house decay thing. There's population growth. If there's food above 50, people have children. I think I'll do it in a not realistic way. I'm not going to count like days until the character becomes useful, like an adult. I'll just consider it ready to go. Child soldiers. Loss. I have a bunch of soldier loss multipliers and stuff. Like, this multiplier will be changed depending on the difficulty, depending on multiple factors as well. I know for a fact that this is not the best way to make a game, but I've never done a game. I've tried multiple times to code stuff and I always failed. Especially in Unity. I work with C#, but I always found to work with Unity rather difficult. Okay. Let's see, what could we try doing here to better this? The game initializes with everything. It logs the first message. Game states soldiers math min soldiers population to check if the soldiers are less than the population. Max population, calculate max population. Max floor, house health, pop cap per house health. This by default is 1%. So if it's house health starts with 100. Is that right? Is that right? Max house health. Yeah, 100. It starts with 100. So it's 10. Yeah, it's 10. With this is capping the population, the maximum population to 10. That's not good. What could we do? That's the difficult thing. I want to implement different buildings. Like a blacksmith. Blacksmith. I forgot the name. Ironsmith? I think, yeah, that's the word. I'm not sure. I'm a bit drowsy today. A smith, maybe you could build a port, more farms to increase the food growth. You could dismantle old buildings, like you have, I don't know, what would be not useful in maybe you found a bunch of building materials roaming around and you're going to use that to build something, you know? So you have these buildings that could be torn apart or stuff to build other things above it, and that would give you materials. So let me get paint here. What would be the resources that we have? Resources. We have population, we have soldiers. Soldiers come from population and they are interchangeable between them. There are a set amount of people. People cannot, not people here. It would be better as workers and soldiers. And they are interchangeable depending on the day. But they all come from the same variable that is people. People. Both workers and soldiers are people. We have money, which is money, gold. We have food, which comes from the workers, There we go. And they are consumed by soldiers and workers every single day. Materials, so let's change this to gold. Gold and materials, which are used for buildings. Buildings would be a type of resource as well, like an investment. Resources. Why did I write M? Building material. Materials, yeah. Buildings consume materials. Materials can be bought with gold or found. Same way with food. What can we find in the city? Like, the city just started, the game just started. I think you could send, like, not send, Well, like, to help the beginning of the gameplay, you every day find something until like some threshold where the probability of you finding something is extremely low because you've already explored the city. You know, you've already scavenged what you could from it. So there could be a percentage of loot every single day of either materials, food, or gold. What is boggling me is how we decide how to make materials. Because you may find gold, you may find food and materials, but food is produced by workers. Gold you get from trade, which probably you will trade food or materials. What could we have? We could have a building that produces materials, like a logging camp or a masonry, or whatever, and then workers, like a set percentage of the amount of workers, instead of producing food, will produce materials. Like, oh, you have a masonry on your city, which is kind of weird, but okay. Not really. Now that I think of it, you get like 3% of the production of the workers becomes materials, you know? And that would be made, we would need a different variable, which is production. Because instead of workers simply producing food, they wouldn't. They'd contribute to this pool of production, which is a set number. Like X number of workers produce X number of production, kind of like civilization. And depending on how they are set, like their jobs, that's going to decide their output of this production. Oh, all of the workers at the beginning of the game probably will be farmers, because there's no building to make materials, so 100% becomes food. But since you have, once you build the masonry or the logging camp or craftsman, I don't know, a set part of this production, 3%, orphing my vex. I'm vexing my Orpheus live. I'm explaining the little game that I'm going to be making probably for the next couple weeks. Basically, it's going to be a siege game where you protect the city from being sieged. It's a resource management game. So I'm dealing with the economy here. What types of resources you're going to be dealing with. We have workers and soldiers, which come from people. Like, oh, you're going to set a set amount, like it's going to be a slider. And you set the amount of workers and soldiers. Soldiers will protect the walls. Oh yeah, the wall is a resource as well. Wall health, actually. Which to repair you use materials. Actually, no, let's use... No, what's this? What did it do? There we go. Uses materials. We have soldiers, we have workers. The workers generate production, which is a variable, an integer. This production will become their output. Their output can be either materials, food, or gold, depending on their work. What decides their work? The buildings. You use materials, which can be which you have like a set amount at the beginning, to start building buildings that increase material production, or enable material production. Would repairing the wall use people? No. You would use workers. Like, I could make there could be like a pile, like something like this, with some activities, like, oh, make like, usually the food one would be the first one, and then make materials, gold, probably not gold, gold would be the last probably, and then repair. And then in this repair would be buildings, would be subdivided between buildings and the wall, you know. And then you can drag them from, oh, I have too much food now. You drag the food to the last and it starts producing more materials. And then, oh, I really need to repair the wall, I'm going to die. And then you drag, so you can like coordinate where the workforce goes. I think that's good, instead of a set amount. Because what I was thinking is that the buildings would have like, oh, this building produces 3%, like 3% actually, 3% of all production from the workers is going to become materials. But if you didn't want that, you'd like need to disable it. But I think that's dumb. It's a dumb way of doing that. It's kind of like old RTS games where you kind of had to figure out stuff, and I don't find it intuitive. I think if you could drag the types of work the workers would be doing, what they would prioritize, where you put most of your workforce, and you could like have a dead zone here where it's not going to be done for the day. If you only want to grow food, you take all these and put it here. Or if you really want to repair the wall and whatever, you know. I think that would be interesting. I think there's room to grow strategy here, where you could get the gold to either. What could you do with the gold? You could buy upgrades, either upgrades or like people. You go like, oh, I'm going to buy 500 slaves or something like that, you know. Can you add cockroaches as a resource? I'm going to add silly people and use them to catapult at the enemy, like you. So yeah, that's the idea. A bit complex, probably. Will I be able to pull this off? Maybe, but it would be fun. It will be fun. There's a lot of room. Like, I want this, like this game logic to work first before wanting to build anything like graphics, because graphics are just pretty stuff. What is important, what is the game, is this, is management of this, you know. And I think there would be a wild card, which would be the random events, which, oh, cholera, you lose 500 workers or people, you know. You get a lucky merchant and you earn a bunch of gold, or stuff like that, you know. You could have a difficult system similar to Ringroad, so that Borger doesn't bully me. My brain is so fried right now. Imagine mine. I'm having to think all of this and remember it later, which is good for this to be recorded. I can come back later and remember the stuff that I schizo-rented onto you now. Don't follow me. Um, so yeah, that's the idea. Resource management with random events and a set type of like storyteller, which would be the difficulty. Because similar to the R game, okay, the fun of the game is resource management. Time, in this case, there is no time; it's pure resources. But in the R game, time is a big resource as well as any other resources that you have in the game. And what adds the fun is the randomness of the storyteller. So I think I could add a storyteller system to this, above the layer of historical reenactment of the sieges. So you will have a population that you don't control individually, but by a percentage divided between certain actions. Sorta, yeah. Like, how do I say this? I use this game as example. Let me get it again. This game, for example. Let's let it just load. I got my idea before playing this, okay? Just to be very, very sure of it. Look, here. You have your troops and you have workers. And you have this slide here. The idea of this slide came from this, okay? But the idea of the game having a division didn't. Just to be really sure that I'm not ripping off other people, okay? Basically, you have a set amount, which is here. You have 3,000 people, but 178 are workers. What they do, they give you gold. And your population grows as large as your population is. For example, if you have... It's basic math. If you have 500,000 people, they're going to mate much faster and multiply much faster than 10 people, you know? So that's big. That means a lot. If you're big, you're going to get bigger faster, you know? So it's a resource. If you spend it, because when you try to spend your land, you use your troops, and the percentage of your troops that you use is this slide here, which is the ratio. For example, I have 3,000 troops, but 27% of it is 914. And for me to change from workers to troops, it takes some time. Like if I enable here, you see, it's not instant. It takes some time. So in this game, since it's like an RTS, it's right in the action. It's happening without turns. It needs this time thing, you know. My game, since it's a turn, which is per day, it doesn't need this time to convert one to the other. And the workers are going to have more layers to it, because they're going to do more than just give gold, you know. You're going to have this priority list, which reminds me of the priority list in the R game, where you decide what you're going to do first. So yeah, your population is a blob of number, and you decide what the blob does. So at the end of the day, we have population as a resource, gold, food, building materials, and wall/building health. One thing that I can implement is that the building health will only decay, not only decay, but it will decay faster the less health wall health. The less health the wall has, yeah. It's because there's like the walls crumbling and whatever, so projectiles and stuff from the enemies getting into the city easier to translate that. That could eventually have an impact on, for example, some resources of you being stolen, or your population being killed by raids and things like that, you know. Of course, part of your population being soldiers means some of them are going to die. Not every single one of them. Like here it's just probability as the game stands as now, but I wanted like for the fighting force to have a bunch of variables of their own. Wouldn't the slide constrict you to only 2 choices per slide? Or will there be more sliders for choosing between multiple binaries? I'm not aware of what you meant, but like, let's say you because you need to constantly protect the wall. That's one thing that I want to do. But let's say you're running low on food, but your wall is perfectly okay. You could set all your population, or at least most of your population, to being workers. And you really need food. You don't need materials. You don't need gold. You don't need to repair anything. You take all of these. I could like do a drag function, where you could drag them into like the do not do pile. Don't pile, you know. In this don't pile, the workers aren't going to do any material, any repairs, nor gathering any gold. They're just going to farm, for example. So in this way, you have a control over the amount of workers you have. Got it? If you need repairs and food, you leave the 2 of them. But I need more repairs than food, and then you arrange them in the order here of priority. What set priority will have? It's something that I'll check later. How to organize this. I wouldn't want it to be player interchangeable. Like, oh, I want it to be here and here, because that would trivialize the don't here. Because you could just like set to 0 or something like that. So it could be like, I don't know, 60% here, 20 here, 10, and like 5. That math is probably wrong, but sort of that idea. So you decide how much you do, and like if you don't need repairs, you just take it out of the. I could do a smart system where it checks. Oh, does the buildings need any repairs? Oh, it doesn't. The population, instead of working in the houses that are perfectly fine, they go and farm. They go for the first option, you know, so that you don't need to be schizoing over the order that you put there. If things are fine in regards to repairs, they're going to work elsewhere. They're going to do other stuff. Probably gathering the resource which is in the highest priority here. That's probably going to be the logic for it. I'll organize a more formal document instead of this ugly ass paint megabajobble here. You could do nutrition slider to change food consumed per population. The less they eat, the higher the chance for diseases to spawn. I wanted diseases to be sort of like a random event that could be increased by lack of resources. Like, one thing that I didn't want is that, oh, you reached 0 food, your C fucking dies, you lost the game. No. The only thing that you need 100% to keep, at least at some level of health, is the wall. But the buildings, the population, the gold, anything else, you can lose it. If you have no food, you're going to lose population. Exponentially. By the time you're without food, you know? Because people are starving. Oh, freak it, the what's the name? Streamlabs. I forgot to change it. My bad. Okay, so there is only slide for workers, soldiers, and actions for workers. Not a slider, but a pool that you can include or exclude actions. Exactly. Exactly. I could use that other game as an example as well. Imagine, like, 1 second. And my bad for that. I'm going to not disable, but I'm going to turn down Streamlabs because it's being a real pain in the ass recently. For example, instead of you're going to have this thing, this is not going to exist. And imagine there's like this box here with a bunch of rectangles where you can drag them around like this. You can drag them around and sort them by first to third and fourth and whatever, and then you can order them depending on what you need most. And then there's like a discard or don't do kind of ordeal here. Oh, I don't need any food now, and then you drag it here and it's going to rearrange automatically. You could have like a number, like here it says troops. You could have like, oh, food, there's 600 people growing food. And then there's like materials, there's 100 people gathering materials and stuff, you know. That I think would work. But that's only the gist of it. Hello, welcome. Cool, I'm starting to understand your vision. Thank you. I will try to make it as bare bones as possible at first, for it to be playable. Then I could like release to some of you, probably on the Discord channel. Wink, wink. The Discord channel on the description where you can join, and I send all the warnings as when my internet cable is going to fucking kill me, and I'm going to raid my SP's headquarters and kill everyone inside of it. Don't hold me liable to that. I'm totally lost, but good luck. I'll try to make it more visual as we go through. I could do schizo rant. I could do like a dashboard of how it will look like. Boo, code a hyper-realistic supply and demand system right now out of the bat. Dude, I'm not making Victoria 3 here, where your mines in Peru are dying because, I don't know, the Iranian government decided to go on strike or some stupid shit like that. And you don't have any more paper or whatever magical fuck your coal mine needs, and your economy goes to shit because it's all hyper interconnected in stupidly. My Peruvian mines again. I'm going to kill so many people. Like, you're going to have a slider here, a menu up here in the screen with like the total population 10k, and then gold, you have 500 gold, and then you have wall life. Probably wall life will be like something like this with an icon here, but it's going to be like wall life, and it's going to be here. Since it's a very important thing, it's literally your health. The wall life is the life of the city. Yay, gold standard! I love when currency was based around real things and not schizo things that don't exist, like the dollar. I love when the quality of life of my country will be decided by the piece of paper around the other piece of... based on another piece of paper, based on literally anything. The economy is built on vibes. Okay. Gold, and then there's the wall life, the building life. There'll probably be like another slide here or something around. I don't want the building life to be like over here. It would be nice if there was the map of the city and you could see the singular buildings, and then you have like the tiny little health bar of them, you know, so you can see that oh no, my thing is dying, and then you set them to work on it and you see the life going up. Yay. But it's not going to happen for now, so it's going to be a stupid slider for now. I love when currency was based through. Don't search why coins have ridges around them. That's very anti-Semitic of you. Okay, you'd have the population, the gold, the... Let me open this piece of rent. The population, the gold, the food. You have 10 bajillion carrots. Doxed. I did not dox myself yet, I think. You have 10 bajillion carrots. Thank you. There's this artist that does the whole life girls, and he does in this very impressionist style, and I really love it. Getting back to it, you have a lot of food, and then you have the materials. The materials would probably be like a set amount, like, oh, you have 10 materials, like a fiction amount of stuff. That's the gist of it. And then you'd have the planner, which would be like a box here with farming, repair, wall, repair, house, buildings, and gold. Yeah. And then this is draggable. You could drag them around to sort them out, and there would be like the stats. Oh, there's the population that is working here. Oh, there's enough people working this, this, and that. And then there would be, let me divide this real quick. There we go. There would be another box which would be empty at first, where you drag the things that you don't want to do here. Done for the day. I'm very bad at using my mouse. X. And then there would be the priorities here. At the beginning, since it's going to be like a prototype, you would have a slider here with the buildings that you can build. Different buildings and their costs and everything. And the slider would be like somewhere around here. Like here. That's a very big, very thick slider. Like here. With the tiny ball. Where you decide who are workers and who are soldiers. and then you can drag it around, and the number over here would change. 3 per 2. Okay. Like would be let's say we have 2k soldiers here and then 8k workers, something like that. Since we have 10k people around that thing, and then you'd see the partitioning here. It will suck to make the tutorial for this, but that's the idea. And then as at the beginning, as this tech demo, there'll probably be like a prompt here. A very good prompt just saying, oh, your base is being attacked by SOUNDBOARD. You know, it's going to say what happened. Probably there are going to be logs here of the random stuff that happens, the buffs and debuffs, and then a button here next day or something like that. Mock schizo game. That would be the gist of it. For the tutorial, just include this MS Paint file. It should be fine. I'll link them to this 1 hour string for them to understand, where I repeatedly explain the same thing 5 times in a row. But yeah, that's the idea. Be aware that I'm not a good JS coder. Okay, the code that I'm using here, which is very, as I am aware, broken and not really good because it's in a single file. Look at the amount of code this ChatGPT wrote me out of a single. It was Gemini actually. What is the name of this background jazz? It's a random. It is a random playlist that I found that I hope doesn't strike me. I will send it to you if you wish. But that's the gist of it. What would be good for this to be a separate file where I'll rank different things, because doing everything in a single file is suicide. It's not good practice as a programmer. Am I a good programmer? No, but it would be nice to try doing things the right way sometimes. But yeah, I will study the code right now because I just messed around the comments and the variables to understand what they do. I could do a mapping of all the variables that I'll need as a whole, because I did mention that I want the enemies to also have their own variables, own buffs and debuffs and etc. that it will affect how the game works. I could get a note. What is this? What is no red ink? Note. Allegedly, Toby Fox isn't a good coder either. Or at least wasn't. Okay. He who was the one who said the game was very badly coded? The thing is that his game was compiled. It was an executable that we run on your PC. This one I wanted to be on the web. Maybe for me to publish, maybe not, I don't know. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to learn JavaScript better. I know there's a way where you can make it run much faster, which you take the GS code and you make it WebAssembly. WebAssembly is the type of games that you see running on itch.io, inside of itch.io, without needing to download it. They usually use Unit's system for WebAssembly. How do I do that? I have no idea. It's probably a lot of work that I'm not going to bother myself right now. Undertale's code was nightmare from what I heard. Balatro 2. Balatro 2? Didn't know Balatro was ill-coded. I knew, like, Undertale has like a bajillion of if statements nested one into the other. Like, because if you stop to think of it, Undertale is just, is not programmatically, like, it's not logically difficult to understand. You have your actions, you walk around, and you talk to people. And then there's the animations, the rest is just presentation. It's, you could make, redo every single thing in Undertale on RPG Maker. Because it uses literally the same things. Oh, because it is an RPG, I know it's an RPG, but I mean, like, it's extremely simple. There's 4 types of screens, quote unquote, that you see. You know? The strong point of it is not the logic, is not the gameplay. The gameplay per se is very boring. It's a walking simulator with a little bit of bullet hell. Not to mention the game. The game is stellar. I don't know about Deltarune. People are saying there's grape in Deltarune, which is weird. Okay. Initial food 100. One thing that I wanted to house decay here. Calculate max population. There won't be a max population. Well, there will be, but it won't be 10 people, because this thing takes the house health and by pop cap per house health. I love grapes. I love eating my grapes during the morning. No, I don't. I quite don't like grapes actually. Which is this. Since house health is 100, when it's multiplied by this becomes 1. So the max population becomes 10. That's not something I want. What could be the cap for the maximum population? It could be housing. But housing shouldn't be a variable. Housing should be a building. And a building would be an object. A complex object. It isn't an integral. An integer, stupid. So this math here is quite wrong, actually. Max wall health, if pop cap per house health. It takes house health. House health starts at 100. Max house health. Houses could be an integer, like this house health system, because you could upgrade the housing to be like, oh, we need more places for people to sleep, and then you build more houses, or you adapt buildings to be houses or bedding, whatever. And that increases the max house health, you know, because since you have more housing, you have more stuff, you're going to increase the health of them. That is not going to hold well when we increment the graphics, but that is an issue for future VEX. So max house health, I'll say it's 10,000. And 1% of 10,000 is 1,000. So you can, at the beginning of the game, hold 1,000 people. Maximum. Which for city is not bad. This is not going to be the final numbers, okay? We'll have to iterate a bunch of times to find the actual good proportions. If we run this now, see, 1000. The population starts with 10 because it's set here, right? Yeah, initial population is 10. I'd say for this demo, let's say 1000 and increase this for this. If we reload, yeah, it will. This is not right here. We need to change this. Also, other thing that I didn't like is that I tried to implement this 3 kinds of layers of health. I don't want it to be like that. Because if you look at medieval cities, they rarely had like, they probably had like 2 walls at most. Late medieval city. See, they had like at most 2 walls. One like around the main castle and one around the city. To which we are playing as the city, not the castle, so we kind of only got 1 wall. So that's the idea. In this one, there's kind of like 4? Not really, like there's 3. There's this bastion, the wall of the city, village, it would be a city in medieval times, and the outer walls. But yeah, that's the idea. By the way, the time, quote-unquote time period will be like medieval to early modern. Until like the Turks started blasting cannons on Constantinople. Okay. We change this. Add log message. Every single day there's a different log message that says what happened. It's called at the end of every single action. Walls repaired, houses repaired, whatever, whatever. I think that's good. We can keep that. And he also says the current population. This isn't going to change, but not right now. For today, I'm just going to polish what I can from the code. Render log, which is this thing. Update display. It's something that, yeah, it runs every single day, right? Yeah, prepare for next day. This is inside of what? And process events, okay. Similar to choose repair walls, actually affect in end day. One thing that I found interesting that Gemini did is that it kind of tried to predict what I'd like to do with the game. That I found endearing of him. Process the chosen action immediately for its direct effects. Handle player action. Yeah, because in as it stands now, you just click. I already died. Okay, it's very broken as it is right now. But yeah, that's the idea. You click and it already does stuff. That's not good. We need it. like handle player action should only trigger once we click the button to end the turn. I'll add a comment here. Should only trigger upon the next day. Button. Press. Okay. Action taken this day equals true. I'm not sure why I added this. I think the AI thought you could do nothing for the day. Action for a day equals action function. Toggle action buttons. Game over screen style none. Calculate max population. Oh, it's because once you click like repair walls and stuff, it triggers stuff, doesn't it? Yeah. Repair walls button receives their elements. Render log, update display. A log message, date, you choose action name. Action name comes from this calling, which comes from who calls you? Who calls you? Why do you trigger instantly? Handle player action. There's not a single other one of you. So how do you, when are you called? Because you aren't set to be called upon the initialization. Restart game button, add event listener, click init game. Add event listener, click end day process events. I'm still confused on where handle player action is called. Let me ask Mr. GPT. I'm confused. Where is it? Of when or why is handle player action called on the code? Okay, so yeah, it's loosen code. Did it say on the comments that it had no use? Mark action as taken for the current playing phase. Okay. This will be important because this will do what I want. Because there will not be like a set amount of actions. You click button and action happens. It's not as binary. So yeah, this code probably can go away as a whole. This function is called when button is clicked. The actual repair happens during an and process event in the if this was chosen. No direct state change here other than logging the choice. Choose repair house. As it's a state of end day. I'm not really sure why it made these functions if they are all done in end day and process events. Okay. It's like the actual game is like 3 different functions. And a bunch of weird leftover what's the name? Hallucination code. Function end day and process events. If game state is game over, return. Execute chosen action. If type of game state action for today equals function. Game state action for today. It's set up on here. When there is an event listener on the button, everything is done here. These are the things that pass the things. This is going to go away because there's no buttons. There's like a single button, one slide, and one pile. Could we call this a pile? This thing a pile? Maybe. I'm really fearful of how I'll code this, because this is going to be pretty much a lot of JavaScript, metric tons of JavaScript. Okay. So yeah, let me mark here. Delete this. Not part of game logic anymore. Today I'm just studying the code mostly, as I mentioned, just to get accustomed to what the AI already did. I could... No, I was thinking of providing the code and asking ChatGPT to fill in the gaps, but I think I won't do that. At least not for today. I am a little bit tired to actually write any code, so I'm just going to do analysis. It's very late over here. live streamer ever. Food consumption, population, food per person per day. Would you say that a person eats 3 food per day? Because here it says 1. Well, it's going to be something about the balance. Because it's an economy, so we need to sort out what each thing values. What a person is valuable in food, what food is valuable in gold, what gold buys food, what gold buys people, what gold buys materials, what people equals materials, because every single coin, be it production, gold, and whatever, will need to be like not actually transferable between them, but their values must be really well determined by the economy, so that there's like no hidden exploits or things like that, like a bunch of like, oh, you can buy food by a set amount of gold, sell the food. No, that makes no sense. Like population growth, you can get a certain amount, and then you can sell the people and get a certain amount of gold, and that gold you can buy more people because of how gold was meant to be related to food and not people, you know, and that sort of thing. So the balance of every single resource is going to be really well pondered. Needs to be really well pondered, I mean. Game state food less than 0. People die if not enough food. Game state population a max 0, population less starvation damage, which starvation damage is how much? Equals game state food. Huh? Oh, what? Oh yeah, if people don't eat every single day, they die. So you had like, if you had 3 carrots and you have 10 population, 3 people are fat, 7 fucking die. Yeah, that's not how it's going to work. What is going to be tough? Not tough, I'll have to have a constant. It's not going to be a constant. Yeah, it's going to be a constant. Is it? I mean, it will only hold integers, so yeah, it's a constant. Where it's like a counter for days without food. But I need to make it relatable to the amount of population as well, as it is done here. Because if you have food, you're going to feed them, so not enough people, as much people are going to starve. So it could be an integer that increases as people starve. Makes more sense as we aren't thinking of every single person in the city as more of like a blob. So if quote unquote a single person stays hungry for eternity, they could, in theory, you know, there needs to be enough people feeling hunger for the population to decrease. Because not necessarily it needs to be the same person, you know. If there's not enough food for everyone, for like literally just a single person can eat, I think they would like change this person around so that the person doesn't die of hunger. So that's the idea. But also, if 10,000 people feel hunger for a single day, that doesn't mean they are going to die the next. Yeah, I'm going to need to put some thought into that. Now I see why Victoria 2 is such a complex game. There's so little tiny things that play into each other. but it cannot be as simple as this. It cannot be. This is too punishing. The siege takes daily wall damage base and adds the day times the increase by day. Oh yeah, one thing that I said when I asked the AI to make this is that each day the difficulty would increase. Which is true, but it depends. As I said, I want the attackers to have their own resources. So for example, if I'll need to do to calculate the logic of the attackers, because depending on the difficulty, they may choose to attack one day with like a lot of people and the other with very few people, like just send scouts, and then the other just send robbers, like to try to small amount of people, and they do a big attack. And if you like defend the big attack, they're going to lose people. They're not like invincible. So they're going to take some time to regroup and get more soldiers, you know. So it's kind of like a PvE of resource management, where you're playing against an AI managing their resources. That's an interesting way of putting it. It's a PvE resource management. Which at the end of the day would be like Civ 5. If you think hard enough, Civilization, Victoria, and Hoi 4 to an extent are all resource management games. Not in regards to the army. Maybe. No, it is. You manage your army, so yeah. And it is a resource. So yeah, it's all of them are Excel spreadsheets with graphics. Soldier losses only if protecting. That's another thing that I think is too punishing. If you protect your walls, your soldiers have a set percentage of dying. That's really bad. As again, the attack only gets harder and harder and harder. It doesn't matter if you're actually protecting a wall. The attacking force is always increasing. This is one of the most retarded lines of code that I've ever seen. There's two types of population according to the game right now. Soldiers and population. If you lose soldiers, you lose population. But oh no, pardon. The soldiers are a subset of the population, if I'm not mistaken. And this is one. So if you lose a soldier, you are also losing a person, like a worker, a piece of the population. So that's why you lose it. But there is no place where you get soldiers. House decay optional. House decay per day. House health. This is like just building degradation. It isn't going to be. It's going to have much. Yeah, can be spammy. That's why I'm going to make this much more complex. Not so. The game as it is right now, it's very black and white. Yeah, here. Population growth if conditions are good. You need to be like above 50 food for the population to grow. And it mentioned here to add like a trained soldier button. so you could increase the amount of soldiers they have, which are not implemented in the game yet. Check game over condition, if the wall have fallen or if there is no more population, and then it loads the data for the next day. I am out of water, and here's just the buttons and the game over screen. What is salvageable of this code? Extremely little. Extremely little. There is tits and bits here and there, but I'll need to rewrite most of it. There is logic that we still need to determine, as the attackers are going to have all their own thing. They're going to have an AI beneath them deciding the things, which is going to be used by which their behavior is going to be set by the difficulty. How I'm going to do this, I have no idea, but we're going to find out. So yeah, today I just did an overview of what you're going to do on this project. I'm very happy that I did not need to touch chat's code again. I'm so happy. But yeah, productive day, maybe. In regards to planning, it was. In regards to actual coding, not much, but I am very sleepy. Next week, there will probably be actual coding, hopefully, if I'm not lazing again. But I promise I'll try doing something. Actually deving. But yeah, I thank all of you who came today. It was lovely to chat with all of you. I'm very thankful of all of you who came up. It was very nice, really lovely. Again, I'm going to start out Streamlabs. It's getting really annoying. It's really getting to my nerve. I've been postponing it for far too long now. And that's it. There will be Umineko on Saturday. Hopefully, if things go alright, if my SP collaborates, if my computer helps. It's not raining anymore, so it's probably going to be okay in regards to power. So yeah, living in this godforsaken country has been taking a toll on my sanity and VTubing career. That's a very interesting phrase. So yeah, thank all of you who came up. I hope you all have a lovely night, have a lovely time. God bless all of you. I will be praying for you, and please pray for me. Thank you all again, and bye bye.